The next anxiety disorder that I'm going to cover is, it's going to be panic disorder. And panic disorder, it can be a little tricky because there's a lot of specific things within this that we have to define too. And another tricky thing is people hear panic, they're like, I panic all the time. But you may not experience what someone experiences when they have panic disorder. Now, panic disorders involve panic attacks. I hear people use this word all the time. They're like, I had a total panic attack. And I, who have family members who actually have diagnosable panic attacks and panic disorder, I think to myself, did you really have a panic attack, or were you just having a little freak out moment? So a panic attack is actually something pretty severe. A panic attack is a sudden episode of intense fear. It comes on suddenly. It's very upsetting to someone, particularly if they've never had it before. It's accompanied accompanied by physiological symptoms, actual physical symptoms. It's very often mistaken for a physical medical crisis, like a heart attack, or like a breathing episode, like maybe an asthma attack or something like that. When it happens, you have actual physiological symptoms such as tightening of the chest and shortness of breath, and it often occurs unexpectedly. So this is someone, they seem to be doing fine. Out of nowhere, they have what can feel to them like this medical crisis, like I can't breathe, my heart isn't working, I feel pain in my chest. A lot of panic attacks will be diagnosed in the emergency room. I mean, not all, but I hear stories from people who work in emergency rooms. Someone comes in, they think they're having a heart attack, and then they do all the tests, and they're like, well, actually, your heart is fine. But then they interview the person, they ask them what happened, like, oh, this is consistent with a panic attack. You had a panic attack. And then there's social stigma. About mental disorders, and people worrying that they're going to be accused of, making it up for attention, or this is all in your head. These symptoms are real. The physiological symptoms are real. They are not imagined. They are caused by anxiety rather than, say, blockage in a blood vessel. All right, but they are real physical symptoms, and it's very upsetting for the person. I get a little bit more keyed up about stuff that I've seen in my family members. You will see that happen, so just be prepared. So panic disorder involves panic attacks, but let's tell you the specifics. So an individual experiences recurrent panic attacks with panic disorder. If you just have one panic attack, you don't have panic disorder. This is recurrent panic attacks, some of which are unexpected, followed by feelings of worry or dread about the potential of future panic attacks. All right, so this person lives in fear, like, when's it going to happen? When am I going to have a panic attack? In the middle of something important, in the middle of something I don't want to miss. I've had a family member that had a panic attack at Mardi Gras. And they're like, okay, I guess I'm not going to be doing the parade now. That it just can happen suddenly. And people who don't understand, have never had a panic attack, they might look at this and say something like, well, what do they have to panic about? There's nothing to panic about. That's kind of the point. With anxiety disorders, you have these sort of symptoms in situations where they may be irrational, they may not make sense, they come on suddenly. They are very real to the person. These are, this is not an imagined situation, and it's not something that the person's doing for attention. Now, that fear of having another panic attack, it can lead a person to reshape their life so that they are constantly, they want to be in situations where they're safe. If they have a panic attack, they can escape easily. Because typically, if you have a panic attack, you want to get out of that situation. Some people have emergency medication that they will take in the case of a panic attack to kind of calm themselves down, or they just want to get into a quiet area and not have a panic attack in front of others. Because when you are having one, it's usually something you don't want to be watched while you're having. And so some people with panic disorder will also develop something called agoraphobia. Now, agoraphobia, it's an intense fear of being in a situation from which escape is difficult or impossible. All right, folks, when I was young in the 80s, there were lots of TV shows and movies that depicted agoraphobia as just someone fearing the outside, not wanting to leave their home. We're talking about agoraphobia with panic disorder. Agoraphobia is specific to the fear of having a panic attack. The fear of having a panic attack in a situation where you won't be able to escape. So like they're not going to go to a crowded Mardi Gras parade. They are not going to go see a movie and sit in the middle of the theater. They're going to sit like right by the door. Or full on agoraphobia where they're like, I'm just not going to go places because I might have a panic attack. You know, more severe manifestation of agoraphobia. All right, so, and not everybody with panic attack will develop agoraphobia. It's something that you can see with panic disorder. All right, so those are your panic-related definitions that we need to clarify. All right, so in the next video, I'm going to talk about generalized anxiety disorder.